So something to note as well is that footprints that they had found of Bigfoot were scaling to about 18 inches in size. Now, there was a guy named Ray Wallace who had admitted to, hey, I put like these like fake coverings on my shoes
We're
made
like
of
big
wood
flippers.
to
Yeah.
replicate those footprints. But ironically, similar size footprints, but more realistic, were shown 1,000 kilometers, like thousands of kilometers away or miles away. I guess I think that's what they said is in the States. That were made that were more realistic, that had skin folds in them, stress creases, and
Yes.
as well as they had the way that the pressure was shown on the foot showed that it kind of went like tiptoe first and stepped on. Which, if you were to try to replicate that big of a foot onto someone, they wouldn't be able to walk naturally like that. Which is why it made it so peculiar. Another thing is that video and the way that that Bigfoot is walking shows it very natural, very confident walk. Where if you were to try to replicate that as a 15-foot creature, like in a suit and something like that, it would take intense training to be able to do that, and you still wouldn't be able to do it for a moderate amount of time. Not saying that, whether it was a short period of time, someone planned it out, staged it, whatever have you. But it's really interesting to see how far scientists actually went to fact about it. It's like you would need a muscle suit, which means you would need an abnormally large human being to get into that muscle suit, which already doesn't exist, because there are people of great size, but not that great size to be able to sustain that much like suit on them and walk like that. Which
Okay,
was the first
what if-
case.
You come. Sorry, go on, Matt.
What if they were an orthopedic expert and knew kind of what the footprint would look like, so that they could, in the footprints, add the detail to be like, if someone were to see this, this is what they would think.
Well, I think, okay, first things first, I think the time in which those footprints were discovered is relevant.
Yes.
Because the video was 1957, if I'm not mistaken, if I don't have that year wrong, which, I mean, if you just look at the technology and basically everything from that time, that would be extremely impressive. But, I mean, you made a lot of points that I'd love to touch on throughout the entire podcast, Lucas, but the first one being the footprints, that I agree with you. Because I remember reading the same thing about, like, in this new, more convincing footprint, you could see like where the pores of the sweat
Right.
would be fake ones, because obviously there were a lot of hoaxes and people who came. Hoaxes, is that the plural? Hoax?
Yeah,
I would say like there were
I
like a
think
lot
it's
of
hoaxes.
fraudulent
Hoaxes?
created or whatever.
hoaxies. I don't know.
Um,
Actually, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't know what the plural of
I
hoaxes.
think it's hoaxes.
Sure. Anyways, if you look at those footprints, like it's just fake, because it's so flat and even. It's like something stepped flat down, and there was no rock in the foot. There was no change in momentum and movement. Also, each of the toes is so perfectly.
Oh no.
Perfectly clawed. It's the
Boom.
claw. As Lee was saying, like, yeah, the molding of the feet were so perfect that it's almost like way too fake. I guess what we're doing with the
You're
footprint.
back,
Okay,
you're back.
Lee, you're back. Lee, you're back. I was kind of just
Oh,
segueing.
never
off
mind.
yours.
You're not back.
He's gone. Another thing that you can also say about the footprint, because I guess right now we'll focus on the footprint itself, is yeah, there could have been an expert behind it, because even when they were kind of like relating it to like a human's foot in terms of like what we're used to,
You're good.
you're back. You're good. Is that when humans pinky toes and like the, I guess, what do we say, ring toe? What was it? It's not. But what would you call the second toe close to the pinky toe?
Do they have names? I didn't know that.
No,
Okay.
I think I don't know.
Oh,
Only your hand.
the piggy. Oh, piggies. We call them piggies because that one went to the market, right? So the market piggy and the pinky toe all face towards your thumb.
I thought that was the piggy that stays home.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about pigs. I just eat them. And for human, it's formed inside, because the way our shoes are formed is that it pushes in, where like this was kind of more straight or pointing out, showing that it was a primitive being because of the way that the toes were formed.
That's what I mean. I'm not opposed to the whole belief of these are primitive creatures that live in like isolation of the world and technology, and like, but I think there's like families of them. Like obviously they have to reproduce to exist for this long.